Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Reasons why you tune into GabNet. Reason number 29, the Citizen Panel.
I'm saying that he could actually, a good lawyer might be able to make a case that he cannot get a fair trial anywhere in the United States because the President of the United States said, quote, he should be executed. And if you can't find a fair jury anywhere in this country because they've all been exposed to this.
No, he'll never go to trial if he's treated as an enemy combatant.
He's not being treated as an enemy combatant, Phil.
He's basically a citizen. He has a green card. He has all the rights that a citizen of the United States has because he has a green card. Either you want to follow the Constitution of the United States or not. Go to Russia if you don't want to follow the rules.
He said that he did this for ISIS. He had a note in his thing. He had phone calls on his cell phone, and he says that he did it for ISIS. Therefore,
okay, so Phil, if you did that, you should be able to be treated as an enemy combatant.
I think so.
GabNet. Reasons to listen every day. Log on to gabnet.net for more. GabNet. It's talk like you've never heard it before.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the GabNet Tour Bus. Today our tour will take us up and around the newly designed gabnet.net webpage. For your safety, please stay seated while the bus is in motion and enjoy your trip. Also, remember that tipping your tour guide is greatly appreciated. Okay, we're off. The first place of interest that we're going to pass on the top left, you'll see a rotating billboard of all of the great GabNet programs. Legend has it that legendary broadcaster Alex Bennett created this billboard to attract early visitors to GabNet and to lure them into his site. To this day, it's one of the top attractions on our tour. Up next, look over at the top right and you'll see the most recent video of Alex Bennett's Ramble. And if you're lucky enough, we'll see Alex interacting with the Citizen Panel. Always a tour highlight. Did I mention that tipping your tour guide is greatly appreciated? As we approach the bottom of the Ramble video, we see quick links to all the ways that you can connect with GabNet programs. Facebook Live, YouTube, TuneIn, Livestream, Vimeo, and the GabNet Roku channel. They're all additional stops that you can make if you choose to step off the bus. But remember, please tip your tour guide if you do, and then you can hop on the next bus. Here's another highlight on our tour. On the left side, you'll see GabNet On Demand. You can quickly access any of the most recent programs there. Clearly, a value spot on our tour because downloads are at no extra cost. Please give your attention now to the right side. Look at the complete tutorial on how easy it is to become a citizen panelist. By the way, if you're a Luddite, there's a phone number that you can use to dial in. Okay, we're nearing the halfway point on our trip. I certainly hope that you're enjoying it. Oh look, there's the convenient call Skype button that you can click on, which will automatically connect you to the Citizen Panel. So now we're turning down the center of the page. I don't want you to miss any of these attractions, so please pay attention. Up first is a link to the 24/7 feed. Now these are going to come fast and furious, so pay attention. Next is a quick note on how you can hear GabNet on Amazon Echo. Next, quickly coming behind that, and this is always exciting, a screen that shows Alex Bennett's Ramble when it is live, with a countdown to the next show. It's always fun when we pass and the show is live. We're winding down our tour of gabnet.net, but before we reach our final stop, it's important to note that there is a place for you to contact them with your comments. Let them know how you like gabnet.net and the GabNet programming. And with that, we wrap up our tour. Remember, as you step off the bus, to please be careful. And also remember that GabNet is talk like you've never heard or seen it before. Did I mention, please tip your tour guide?
Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Oh, it's... Hey, I'm not a happy camper today, but I'll tell you why a little bit later. I'm just really out of it. One of the nights I did not feel like doing a show, but, you know, the old showbiz axiom, which is the show must go on. And I'd like to find out whoever created that show business axiom, because personally, I'd like to beat the living hell out of them. Anyway, I'm Alex Bennett, and as we do, it's time to go check in with an ex-wife, okay? Look at her with that hat. She's become the head of hopper of GabNet.
Yes.
That's Ronnie Bennett, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, she is an ex-wife. That's why she has the name Bennett. She's been going through some stuff, you know. I don't know how we describe stuff.
It's my predicament.
Yeah. She's dying, but then again, so are we all. You know, it's a situation that I have never been in my life, being this close to somebody, going through this. Even my best friend who had cancer, because we were more closely associated, shall we say, than just friends.
Me, you mean.
Huh?
You and me, you mean.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we know each other quite a while.
Yes.
Since, let's see here, since I met you in that car in front of the Old Town Coffee House in, what year was that? Do you remember?
59, probably.
Yeah, 1959. I probably know you. I'm trying to think. Do I know you longer? I think I know you longer than anybody I know.
Well, it's 60 years ago that we met.
Yeah. Wow. Is it that much?
Well, look at my hand. I mean, 59, 69, 79, 89, 99, 09, 19. That's 60 years.
60 years. Where did they all go?
Yeah, that's always the question, isn't it, at this time of
I mean,
life?
just you know.
Just gone. Yep.
Yeah. It's amazing how, when you're younger, life looks at how long life is, and when you're older, how short it's been.
You always think when you're younger, I did when I was young, that you have forever. 60 years sounded like forever when I was 20. It doesn't anymore.
Well, when I say I'm 79 years old, and I suddenly realize that how many people do I know or have I known can say that? You know,
say what?
That I'm 79 years old. You know? I don't. Huh?
I know a lot of people that are older than that.
You know people who are older than that, but not people who you grew up with or associates with you. I mean, I have people dying all the time. It's kind of like the common thing. I'll call my business manager, Gary, like I did today, and say, guess who died? You know?
That's what the old people do.
Yeah, guess who died? And it's really kind of... It's something that becomes a constant in your life. And as my mother used to say, she said, when you're a kid, your prime social thing is going to birthday parties, and when you're old, it's going to funerals.
Funerals, yes, it is.
You know?
Yeah, it changes. It's okay. Life changes.
And by the way, it's all relative, let me say, because my mother had a friend who was 92 and she died. And my mother said, how can she die? She was so young.
Of course. Whenever we discuss the question of when is old on my blog,
yeah,
you get, depending on the ages of people, nobody is ever old. If they're 60, they say 70s are old. If they're 70, they say 80s are old.
Yeah.
And if they're 80s, they say 90s are old. Nobody is ever old.
Well, I 79, which I am, to me is old.
Of course it is.
And it's by the way, while I wish you all a long life, maybe you don't want it to be that long, you know? But you don't want it to be so long that eventually you're the only person left in the room. You know, and that's what happened to my mother. All her friends went, and she was still going at 100.
Yeah.
You know, but who did she have? There was nobody came to visit her anymore. I was surprised that people came to her funeral because I didn't know if there were enough left to make up a funeral.
Yeah, that it gets smaller and smaller, the circle of old friends.
Yeah, and it's oddly enough, it's not something, at least in this society, that we celebrate.
What?
Age. We don't celebrate it.
American culture dislikes old people. They would like us all to disappear.
Well, we will. So they'll get their wish.
All the politicians in Washington want to take away Social Security, which is the most successful social program in the history of the world. They don't want us to work past about age 50. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think that 50, depending on the kind of career you choose, I think that's when you're really getting really good at your job at age 50. And they don't want us to work past that. They don't want Medicare. They want to turn that into a private service that for the insurance companies and so on. They just don't like old people.
Do you remember when older employees were considered continuity for the company?
Sure.
You know,
I learned from a lot of them wherever on the places I worked.
Yeah, and that continuity doesn't exist in companies anymore. I mean, they're really
all by themselves. They don't even talk to anybody else.
Well, to begin with, they want nothing but young people to work for them because young people will work for shit. You know, where an older person wants something for his expertise.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I mean, you're right. Old people are disdained and hated and reviled and considered a blight on the.
You know, I've often said to people that something happens as we're growing older. You never know when it's going to happen because we age at different rates in each individual. But there comes a day when you don't know that you've done it until someone responds to you, that you have stepped across a line, that you have gone from ordinary midlife person that everybody respects and all that, and you step across a line and you become an old person. And it happens to men, but more than that, it happens to women. You become invisible. People don't see you anymore. Mm-hmm. And it's a certain look that you get, and the people who are adults who are younger then see those people always as old, and therefore either demented or not very bright to begin with, or forgot everything they ever knew, and don't have anything useful to give to society anymore. That's how American culture treats old people. And thank God for the caregivers that I've discovered now. There are people who are different from you and me and most people we know, who devote their whole lives to caring, even young people too. But I run into the ones who are taking care of old people, mostly old people with cancer. And they are dedicated. They are amazing people. And they aren't like the rest of us. They have a different kind of heart, a different kind of mindset. And I just respect and love them so much. But they are the minority.
Yeah. I just, you know, I mean, I've found that as I've gotten older, the thing that I guess bothers me the most is I love the work that I did. Mm-hmm. And I loved radio and broadcasting and doing programs. That's why I still do this thing, if nothing more, to keep my chops up. It's not for the tons of people who are listening, you know.
Same way with my blog.
Yeah, exactly. But I would go out and look for work. But nobody will take me seriously, you know? Nobody will take me seriously. So I don't want to go through the indignity of going through the asking for a job process. Does that make sense?
Let me tell you the last time I looked for work before I said enough of this. I had spoken with someone at I've been working on websites for 10 years, running websites. Mm. And I spoke with someone on the phone who thought that I was really hot shit and wanted to see me right away. Could I be there at their offices at 10 o'clock the next morning to meet the person's boss that I had spoken to on the phone? Mm-hmm. So we made the arrangements, and I arrived at 10. And I waited and waited, and it got to be 10:15 and 10:20 and 10:25. The door to the inner offices opened into the reception room, and a couple of people stuck their heads in and looked at me and closed the door. And I waited a little bit longer, and then one of them came out, the person I had spoken to on the phone the afternoon before, and apologized and said he was terribly, terribly sorry that someone had forgotten to call me. But that job had been filled between the time that he and I had spoken, which was 4 in the afternoon the day before.
Yeah.
And my arriving there at 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. or whatever it was that day. And that's when I said, I can't do this anymore. It's all 27-year-olds who don't want their grandmother working for them.
Wow. Wow. You know, I mean, the thing that I had the last time was I did a replacement gig at WOR here in New York because they said, okay, Alex Bennett, we got a guy off on Saturday night or Friday night or whatever. Do his show. So I went and did it. And then I had a friend who knew these guys. I didn't hear a word from them after I did it. And
they did send you a check, I hope.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Au contraire. You think they send out checks now? I'll explain that one in a second. But that's not the point. The point was that finally I asked this friend of mine, would you call them and see what they thought? And he called them, and they said, oh, he was terrific. He's a real pro. And somehow that didn't sound right to me, you know? A real pro. Yeah, that means I'm old, right? And I do a great job, but, you know, there's no job here. And I just didn't want to go through that indignity again. I also worked for them a second time, and that was New Year's a couple of years ago. And to this day, I've never gotten a check.
Did you call or did you email and ask?
You know something? It would have been so little because of what they pay in radio stations today that I didn't bother. I just felt it was up to them to call me and say, where do we send the check? You know, well, not
should have decided before they hired you.
Yeah.
You know, I always thought that you and all radio people were safe as you got older, as long as your voice didn't become,
right,
you know, that scratchy old thing, because nobody sees you, so they don't like what old people look like. Who knows on radio? So I thought you guys were safe to work for as long as you were capable.
No, I beg to differ with you.
Okay, no, I'm just saying that obviously I'm not. That's not true.
No, but it's gotten to the point where I go, you know, maybe I should get up today and see what I can do. You know, it was funny. I was looking at, you know, for some reason, I don't know how I got on. What's that site where people go for jobs now? What do you call it? See, that's why I'm too old now.
That's why they don't hire you, darling.
You know the site where everybody posts their resumes and there are jobs being offered there. Well, anyway, got a thing for them the other day. Jobs you may be suited for. So I looked at it, and one of them was head of podcasts at, like, I don't know, Stitcher or someplace like that. And I was mentioning to my audience, I should apply for that. And when they try to dismiss me, I'll say, I invented the fucking podcast. Which I did. I have proof of it. I have the program that was written that, in fact, let people download the program every day automatically. It was called Auto Alex. I didn't write it. Another guy wrote it. But the concept was what is now podcasts. And I would love to be able to just go in there and have them dismiss me and then have me look at them and go, you know, I invented the podcast.
But they won't hear you. There's no point. There's really no point. You can't do that because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it just makes you, in their eyes, look foolish, old and foolish.
Yeah. I mean, there was this new podcast, podcast industry journal. I don't know what it's called. And they wrote an article about the first podcast and so on and so forth. So I wrote the guy and I said, you're wrong. He said,
"You're not going to give up on this. You're going to do the whole show about this, right?"
No, I'm not going to do the whole show about it, but I'm giving you an example of how you get dismissed. I mean, this guy went, "Oh, well, somebody did it in 1990." And I said, "I was doing it 4 years earlier than you mentioned the first one."
Let it go, Alex. Let it go.
Why?
You're becoming a get off my lawn kind of old man.
All right, so get off my fucking lawn. Get off my podcast lawn. I'm just sorry we never trademarked or not trademarked, but copyright the program, because we probably would be worth a fortune today, as a result of it. But I'm not claiming anything except, hey, I would like a little bit of, my due,
Alex, nobody cares.
I know nobody cares.
Nobody.
So in other words, I've yet hit another stone wall of being old, right?
No, it's, that when I was working as the first managing editor at CBSNews.com,
yeah.
Nobody had ever done a news website before. CNN was building theirs at the same time we were at CBS.
Right.
And nobody knew how to present this stuff online. Nobody had ever done it before. We were inventing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would steal things from CNN. They would check our site, and they would steal things from us. And it was, a consensus was slowly building of how to lay things out to make it easy to read and for people to use. And I invented some of those things. I don't even remember what they are. It doesn't matter.
Well, I'll tell you something.
I mean, you do it every day. That you figure out a new way to lay out a video, or a new way to post photos. There are all kinds of tiny little things that help make it easier for people to use your website. Mm-hmm. And you work at them every day, and you keep refining them. Mostly it's refining.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess I just want a little bit of somebody to say, hey, now this guy really came up with the first idea of this, and I don't know. That's just me. When you get old, all you've got are memories, for crying out loud. All you've got is who you are and what you did. And I'd like to think that I did a couple of things which were innovative and to this day last. But I'll tell you what I hate about the podcast. It's been co-opted by the corporations now.
But everything is. Don't get upset about that.
I mean,
everything that is useful and that is capable of making money will be. It's the way the system works.
The biggest podcast in the country, I think, is something that has to do with NPR. When I read about it, this company is combining with that company, and they're doing a podcast, and I'm turning on the TV, and there's some person saying, I'm doing a podcast now. Yeah. So, to me, the podcast was the lowest form of show business.
That is what radio has become, are podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's better service than radio was.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Well, there's no vetting. Where with radio stations, you had to back up what you were saying.
Oh, please.
Oh, I did. I always had to.
No, please. But nobody was checking ever unless you told a whopper. And they didn't care. It's because you can listen to podcasts anytime, anywhere you want. Mm. Radio, if you don't have it, in something that's stuck in your ear or in your car or wherever you're going, you have to be there where the radio is, or you did in the old days. Now, you can subscribe to them. They download automatically onto your computer. You can put them on your whatever you're using to listen to them with. And it's just so much, there's so much more availability. I mean, you can do it, you can listen in so many ways that you want.
Yeah, well, that's very nice. But, there was something about radio that made it different than that, and made it different in a very good way. It was perishable. When you did something, it happened at that moment, and then it went into the air, and that was it. And maybe there was something nice.
And isn't that irritating when you want to listen to it again?
No, but isn't that a kind of precious in its own way? It's like, it's something that It's an art that is perishable, whereas podcasts aren't an art that is perishable. Does that make sense?
Oh, not to me.
Yeah, it does to me.
I'm glad to have it there because, you know, people learn in two main ways. Mm-hmm. We're divided in that way.
Yeah.
Some people learn best through their ears. That's the smaller group.
Well, that's me.
And a larger group learns through their eyes, through reading.
Mm-hmm.
And so listening to it, I never have all the information I want. That, you know, when I'm reading on a page, I can highlight or I can scribble notes on the side or on a notebook or something. And when you only listen to it, listening takes so much time compared to reading. Reading is so much faster. And so if you want to listen to the podcast and get the sense of the conversation and what people are doing, it's perfectly fine. But in my case, who learn mainly from reading, I don't get everything the first time around. So I would have to listen again, which I don't have the patience for. Mm-hmm. Because it just takes so long to listen as opposed to read the same words.
What podcast do you listen to?
Right now, I haven't for several weeks. I just don't have the time.
What did you?
I don't remember, Alex. Whatever turned up, what I downloaded.
Oh, okay. All right. Because some people do have regular podcasts they listen to.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
I don't. And that's okay, by the way. There's a lot of things everybody else does online that I don't do. One of them is read Twitter. I've never, ever read Twitter. I do my best to stay away from Facebook, although I distribute the blog on there. So I have to check it once in a while, but I don't do anything about Facebook. I don't tweet. I don't, what do you call that? Instant message or something you do with it, you know, I can't remember what it's called.
Instagram?
Texting. I don't do that. No. I absolutely refuse. And I don't have to. I'm dying. What do I care?
Here's my text. I'm dying. I often thought about whether I can text you, and then I never realized that I don't really have a I can put a text to your phone number, but it probably won't come up, will it?
Sure it will, I just erase them.
Oh, okay.
I don't have to read them.
I actually have gotten into texting lately once I realized that I could dictate my text rather than have to type them out. So,
I have enough time on screen, on my main screen, this one. I don't need any other screens.
I used to ask the question about texting, okay? You text to what? You text to a phone number.
Right.
All right? So if you're texting to a phone number, why don't you just push ring? Call. But you don't.
That's what old people like me mostly do.
Yeah.
I talk to, whether it's Skype or just on a telephone, that's how I talk to friends. I don't see the point, unless I'm on my way to your house and there's an automobile accident, and maybe I'll text, hey, I'm going to be late, I'm stuck in traffic. Beyond that, I can't think of what I would ever text anybody.
Well,
I don't have anything to say.
I brought this up to a younger person, and I said, why don't you just, instead of texting, just call the number that you're texting to and talk to the actual person? And their answer was, sometimes you don't want to talk to people. You don't want to get into an engaged conversation. This way, you just make your point and you go. However, there's another problem with texting, and maybe this is me as an old person and I can't get used to it, but here is the big question, okay? When do you end your text? So somebody says blah, 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 and then you have to kind of let them know you got it, and you go, thank you, and then do you write back, you're welcome? Where does the text end?
Listen, that's very interesting that you brought that up. I've realized that on the telephone lately in the past few months, none of us know how to say goodbye on the telephone anymore. When we're done talking, the conversation goes something like that. Okay, I'm going to go make breakfast now. Great talking to you, Ronnie. Really loved hearing your voice. Yeah, me too. We should do this again in a week. I'm going to go now. Love you a lot. And the other person says, love you a lot. And nobody ever gets to goodbye. It goes on and on like that. And we've forgotten how to just say plain old, goodbye, talk to you later, and hang up. It's very funny.
Yeah.
But I just don't see the point and that amount of time on screens and doing things on screens. Mm-hmm. I've got an awful lot of other things I need to get done in the time I've got,
Yep. Well, it sure changes the way you do stuff, doesn't it?
Well, it changes what's important.
Yeah.
And you know, and by the way, every time texting has come up on my blog, which is, you know, my audience is almost entirely old people, the people who text a lot always defend it by saying that they wouldn't be able to contact their grandchildren without texting, that the kids wouldn't respond to anything else.
Right.
Really? Really? We teach kids to say please and thank you. We could also teach them to answer the phone and say, hi, Grandma.
Hey, look, I just looked at the clock. We've run out of time.
Already?
How time flies when you're...
And all we did was ditch.
And you said before we started, gee, you're going to have to carry this one, Alex. I don't know if I've got the strength. Yeah, bullshit.
Yeah, well, and all we did was complain the whole time.
And all we did was complain. I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks, okay?
All right, take care, darling.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ronnie Bennett.
Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
And here we are. I'm just doing something here. I was just I was working on something, and oh, there we go. Just found it. Okay, there we go. Okay, I had to fix something here. I'm always fixing something. Yeah, boring, isn't it? Yeah, it really is boring. Anyway, let me see. Let me close a few things down here and open a few things up. I guess we're going to talk to our people out there, you know, and do our little show here where we talk with people, and we just need you to give us a call. I'm just not in a very good mood tonight. I had the most vile experience at a dental office today that I've ever had, and I don't want to talk about it. I just don't want to talk about it. But it was vile, and it may wind up costing me $3,000. I don't know. You know, it may not. I'll find out in the next 24 to 48 hours. I mean, it was not what I considered. God, you know, when you're a dentist, there's something that goes along with being a dentist, and that is keeping people comfortable. You know, this is probably one of the biggest, most fearful things that people do is going to a dentist. And I think that dentists, if they're good, do everything they can to put you in a proper frame of mind so that this horrible process goes by much easier and much nicer. And I've had some great dentists in my time. I've had ones that have just, for some reason, they just, you know, they just made me feel good about it. And I didn't feel horrible and all depressed and everything. But today I came out of a dental situation and was not happy. And I have been miserable all day. I didn't talk to girlfriend tonight. I just sat in the guest room really doing nothing. So depressed about it and waiting to see if I'll have to spend $3,000. Yeah, I really don't even want to talk about it. So anyway, call me, will you? We don't even have any callers. We don't have any listeners. Why do I do this thing anyway? I have no idea. Anyway, you know what I forgot to ask Ronnie about, and I'll have to do it next time, is she went through a process to help her deal with death. And I didn't ask her about it because we'd completely forgotten about it because she did it like 4 weeks ago, and then the week I did it, she didn't want to get into it yet because she was going to write about it, and then she wrote about it. There we go. And, you know, so anyway, here's Phil. Take over, Phil. You know.
Hey, I saw you open the lines.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you start rewiring your computer?
Rewiring the computer? No, I have almost gotten all of this rewired. All it needs to do is be put in. I got everything ready to go here, but you know I don't want to do it till the weekend.
I understand.
And even
I've got 100 zip ties waiting for me to go underneath this rat's nest.
Yeah, well, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
No, because I've found that when you do that, the problem is, here's what the problem is with wiring. You can buy a 6-foot wire, you can buy a 3-foot wire, you can buy a 24-foot wire, you can buy a 1-foot wire.
Yeah.
But no, you're always going to have some wires that are longer than others. So when you tie them up, they're still going to be flaying all over the place.
That's true.
What I did, and I wish I could show you, I don't know if I have the ability to show people, but let me see if I can do it to some extent here. Hold on. I don't know if you can see this, but here, maybe I can grab them all, some of them. See all this?
Yes. Oh my God.
That's the stuff that I pulled out from the.
Really? It wasn't going anywhere?
Huh?
It wasn't going anywhere?
Wait a minute, I can't hear you because I've got to
on
my earphone. Put on my earphones. Yeah, what? Yeah.
So all of that wire was dead. It wasn't going anywhere.
Some of it wasn't. Some of it was. But a lot of the boxes, I went out. I spent almost $100 on boxes and things like that, which I can nary afford. But I got a couple of USB strips. One has 7 things on it, and then 2 that supply a really fast charge for electrical current.
Yeah.
And then another one that has, I think it's 12 USB ports on it. But I don't know if I need that one. I've cleaned everything up so much I didn't need that as many as I thought I needed. So.
Well, if you make up some sort of a block where you can just plug in as needed, sometimes you find, I want to plug in this device.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of doing.
Plug it in, you take it out.
That's what I'm thinking about doing.
It's almost like a wall socket.
Yeah. The other thing I bought. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. And this one was. This was pretty expensive, actually. Is I'm sick and tired. Part of the biggest problem is I have more things plugged in here than you can possibly imagine. All right.
Yeah.
So I got this.
That's a nice one.
Yeah, and I would probably, if I could afford it, I would buy like 5 of these things, and get them going.
Your wall plug may not be able to handle it.
No, it's handling all the other stuff. This is just so that they'll all be in one place. So you have the biggest problem they've got with these what do you call it? What do they call these things? They're not really meant to be surge suppressors as much as they're meant to, Well, that's kind of what I got. I got something very similar to that, but yours only has 4 on each side, right?
No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, okay. You got pretty much the same thing I have here.
12.
Well, yeah, but you have the same thing I have here. And what it is that when you get a plug, the electrical strips, okay?
Yeah.
And then you start plugging in these little blocks they make. You can only get like 3 of them in one, or maybe even 2, and that's it, right? Here you've got room. Here you've got room for that. Okay.
I have one that's round, and the things rotate, so you can move them out of the way of the other plugs.
Yeah, I've seen those too. But then, so you've got for the big plugs, you've got 6 of these, and then you've got another 6 for the smaller plugs down the middle. So you can put 12 plugs with the big ones on this, and so that's why I bought that. But I don't have any place to put it yet. So
you'll find it. Hey, I was listening to you and Ronnie, and you said that WOR didn't pay you. So I called them and I said, "How could you not pay Alex Bennett for his time?"
Yeah.
And they said, "Well, he got on the air and he just kept yelling, 'Get off my lawn.'"
Yeah.
So they didn't know that you wanted to get paid.
Yeah, sure. I'll tell you why I never called him about it. I mean, to begin with, the money you get these days for working a shift at a radio station is so small that it's pissing money.
Well,
all right,
you can do it like the dry cleaners do. They take the $5 bill and they hang it on the wall.
Look, here's what I used to get when I used to work for WOR, and I would do a shift at the OR. I think they paid me, if I'm not mistaken, $150 an hour. It might have been $300, but they were paying me at least $150 an hour. By the time I got to the new WOR, I think they were paying something like $30 an hour. So if I worked a 3-hour shift, what are we talking about? We're talking about $90. If they can't call me and say, where do we send the check? I don't know if it doesn't make a better story now to say how cheap these assholes were than to take the $90. You know,
you've got $90 worth of stories out of this over the years.
And then I worked for them a second time. That's how stupid I am, right? I worked for them. That's how much I wanted to be back on radio. And I figured, well, this time they'll probably just send me a check, right? No, never heard from them. Not even a thank you for doing the show, by the way.
Yeah.
Wow. If you're gonna fuck me in the ass, at least do a reach around, for crying out loud.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, and hello to Charles Wallace, who's joining us. But anyway, the thing is about rewiring things. So I cleared out a lot of wires. I cleared out a lot of the clutter, but it's still, it's still going to. And I think I can just fit the machine right here, over to the right here. It might even show.
You're rarely going to turn it off, so you might as well just put it behind the monitor or out of the way. And
no, I'm just going to put it over here in the corner. Yeah. In the corner, and it might block a little bit of part of this. It probably won't. I'll probably still be able to see around, and it's where the lamp is right now.
Yeah.
So I'll put it there. It's only 6.6 inches
in diameter.
It's only this big in diameter,
so I think it's about a foot high.
So I think it'll fit there very nicely.
Maybe 11 inches high.
And it doesn't make any noise, so I don't have to worry about it whirring. In fact, there'd probably be less noise than there is now. This old.
Have you ever thought about sticking your finger in the top to see if there's a fan that runs around?
No, there is a. I don't know if there is a blower of some sort, because I listened in. Put my ear down there, and you can hear a whisper fan going. Yeah. But there's not much to get hot in there except for a power supply. You know. Well, no, I mean there is something to get hot in there.
Mine's warm.
No, the reason mine is warm. Do you know the reason why? For instance, you probably have 3.0 chips in there and so on for yours.
I'm not sure.
And they go up to like 3.5 or whatever. But in mine, it's only 2.6. Why?
Oh, I have three. Yeah. I have 6 core. Let me look.
No, but they're like 3.0, 3.3, something like that.
3.5.
3.5. Mine are only 2.7. You know why?
But you got a 12.
Well, to begin with, I got a 12, and that's 12 times 2.7, which is a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you had the 3.5s in there, it would get too hot. And that's why they make them 2.7. So,
Yeah. I'm looking here. It's 3.5, 6 core.
Yeah. Now I'm hoping with all the moving and stuff that I've done that it will fit nicely here without me. I mean, you're right. I don't have to do anything to it. Once I've got all the plugs in it, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. We'll see if it fits. Okay. I think it will. It's going to take up about the same amount of space that the lamp does, only it's going to be further back, and you don't even see the lamp now. So,
have you felt like throwing any pieces of paper in the top? It
is.
There's a reason they call it the garbage can.
My remote PC, it's listed as Alex's a trash can, and it is. It looks like a trash can. It's.
Yeah.
But I've been using it for a couple of weeks now, setting it up so it kind of is almost the same as what I've got here. Yeah. And there were a few problems I had that I had to change. Huh?
Sorry, I'm talking to myself.
Because there were certain things that worked fine with this one, but do not work well with the other. One is a torrent program for downloading torrents called I think it's called uTorrent, right? Yeah, that's what it's called. I use it on this machine; it works fine. But when I tried it on the other machine, it does not work well at all.
They're doing you a favor. Don't put the torrents on this machine. Keep this machine clean, and put them on that other one that is a little bit slower.
Why you put them on something clean? I don't. To begin with, I am not putting anything on that flash drive. I've only got about 150 gigs on it right now, and probably everything else that I store that records. If I record something, it records it on one of my extended drives, which are very fast with the 3.0. That's why I had to get these new things, because all my old USB switchers were 2.0.
Yeah.
So
I've got all my drives plugged directly in. I'm not running it through a block.
What do you mean you're not running it through a block? You know what I've got? What I got? I bought the Seagates that are 8 gigabytes each.
Yeah.
8 terabytes each. Split them up into 2 drives, basically, of 4 terabytes each. Okay.
Yeah.
And then they have two USB ports on the front of each one of them. So I just link them all together. And that's it.
Okay. So you're daisy chaining, but I don't plug it into the USB hub. I plug the drives directly into the computer.
Well, but I've got a lot more than you have that I've got to deal with. I've got 3, 4, 5 maybe different things. So if I'm using those as the hubs from each other, I'm just linking them through each other. They're working as hubs.
Yeah, they'll work just fine.
Yeah, and the 3.0 is speedy as hell. I can't tell the difference between that and my internals in my machine here. Hello there. We got a couple of more people here. Got Kevin who joined us. And we've got, I made him big picture now, Josh Wheeler, and there's Charles Wallace, and there's Brian Ludwig, and there's Kevin. And let me just, I gotta change the size of my picture here so that, we're, I'll do that. Okay, there we go. Anyway, where are we? So, so that all weekend long I was cleaning stuff out, and I got those big pile of wires and boxes and everything. It made me feel good, I mean, even if I didn't move everything in here, but I want to move it in here because it works so fast. It is so speedy, and then it'll also work nice. My other monitors only are 1080 monitors. These are much larger. I can put a lot more on them, so I can make the pictures smaller. It's going to be better once I move it in here.
Yeah. Did you get anything to digitize those photos so that you can scan them and digitize them? Did you get one of those?
No, actually, so far we've sent out to have them done.
Oh,
if we did them, if we did them, they would take. It would take forever. I mean, there are very inexpensive things you can buy that will do the process for you, and but you're going to have to do them one at a time. And if you send them out, they charge you maybe a buck a picture, and maybe we got 10,000 pictures, but at least somebody's doing it,
Yeah.
And it's quality houses and so on. So. And I got to be honest with you. I don't know what I can do with these pictures. I have to see a larger amount of them. I have some of the ones that were done at Midnight Blue, and they're interesting, but there are only a few that are special.
Yeah.
And if people don't know what I'm talking about, a friend of mine died a while back, and she left me and another guy. Her entire photographic collection which has in a lot of kind of a few very interesting pieces. I mean, I have a great picture of Harvey Fierstein in drag, you know, in the days when he did that for a living. And I've got pictures of you know, a lot of the porno people at the times. It's kind of a capture of a certain period of time, but I just don't know how extensive that is, because I went through a lot of the other stuff, and it's like pictures of somebody's puppy, you know, and so yeah. I mean, when you send everything out to get done, some of what comes back is just, you know, and you wonder, well, how much is there here that really makes a life's work really worth it? And there are several.
You could always make a like a book. What do they call it? A cocktail tabletop book.
Well, that's what I thought about. I mean, I've got
and then donate one of them to the what is that government library? That the Library of Congress.
Yeah.
And this way, it's, you know, it's on file, and her work is preserved.
Well, no. What I wanted to do was have a tabletop book of her work. But I've got to see that there's enough work of that's interesting. I mean, I know what she shot, and oddly enough, a lot of it for Midnight Blue has me in there with a camera, you know, which I might actually crop it out. You know, I could probably do a documentary about me and Midnight Blue using the still photos she took of me.
Well, maybe that's what you should do.
Maybe that's what I need to do.
And give her the photo credit.
Well, yeah, or give her talk about her photography and that she was always behind me taking pictures, you know. But anyway, so we got this photographic collection, and it's pretty extensive, but I just don't know if you take the whole thing and put it together, if there's a cohesive body of work there, you know. Yeah. I mean, what happens is, in their lifetime, photographers take what's good and they put it over in this pile, and they take what's bad and it goes over in that pile. Well, she never made this pile and that pile. And so we got to make our own piles, and I don't know that once we say, this is good, this is good, this is good, this is good, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, that the bad pile isn't going to be like this, and we're going to have, this is going to be the good pile, you know. So,
well, that may be all you have.
It could be. Could well be, you know. But anyway, so I might have to spend $3,000 with a dentist.
Yeah?
I mean, between...
You need another implant?
I may need a root canal and a crown. But I don't want to talk about it.
There's a woman really good looking in Dubai that'll give you half off.
Yeah, right.
But no Novocaine.
Right. No, but I mean, I just I don't want to really go into it. But I mean, I will know in about 48 hours if I need a root canal, because she filled the tooth and now she's waiting to see. Well, you know what she did? She filled the tooth so we can wait and see if it hurts at the end of 48 hours. If it doesn't bother me after 48 hours, it's okay. It was really close to the nerve, what she had to do, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I just gave her a credit card today for $425. If I get a toothache, does she give me the $425 back?
No, it was called taking the shot.
Well,
you know?
That's the Mercedes payment.
Yeah. You know, I mean, but I'm hoping that I won't have a bad tooth and it'll be fine, you know.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have insurance, okay, which covers $2,500 of it. But
50-50?
Well, no, actually, it's for a root canal, something like 75%. And a crown 75%. So
such a good deal, I'd get the root canal anyway.
So, but I still have to put out like maybe $750, you know.
Yeah.
And it'll be under the $2,500 cap, but who knows?
It's better than $6,000 that you spent for the implant.
But it was the whole experience today that kind of just put me off after I was through with it. To begin with, an assistant, what do you call it?
Hygienist.
Or whatever, the person who helps her, who tried to take an x-ray of my mouth and somehow couldn't get the thing in my mouth without hurting me. You know, it was like jabbing into the bottom part of, you know, and I'm going,
in some places you pay extra for that.
Have you done this before? You know, this can't be the first time you've done this, or is this your first day on the job? You know, but I mean, it was so incompetent, I couldn't believe it. You know, and all I'm saying is when you go to a dentist, one of the things that dentist should do is give you a certain feeling of confidence, of hey, there, everything's going to be okay. Take it easy, you know. Once a Novocaine gets in you, they can do anything they want to do.
So they were using film?
But they.
My dentist got some of the thing that I bite on. It's digital.
I know it's digital now, but still, it may be worse than those pieces of film they used to stick in your mouth. Remember when they put the film in your mouth and you had to hold?
Yeah, with the paper wings.
Yeah, but these are thick.
Yeah.
And so she's got to put it in behind the tooth. And then she got it wrong. The picture sucked. They had to take it again. And my doctor decided she would tempt fate and stayed in the room and held the thing in my mouth when it went off. You know how everybody, when they take the x-ray, everybody not only leaves the room but moves to Omaha till the sound of the and then they come back. And she said to me, well, you know, the x-rays on this, the radiation on these is really quite minor for digital compared to what they were with the film. So, you know.
And the nice thing is they can overlay it over the old ones and see what the changes are.
Yeah, well,
digitally.
By the way, you know how much that part cost me?
$200.
Is it taking the one film and
film, $75,
and inspecting the problem was $100.
Would have been $37.
Was $130.
I was going to say 150. So
yeah. But then on top of that, then doing the filling was another whatever. Came to $425. You know, and I'll see some of that.
Universal dental care. Universal dental care for all.
We need that. I mean, this is getting ridiculous, you know. I mean, here's my question. $3,000 between what do you call it, a root canal, and then the crown to go on top of it because it's a small little tooth and it needs the support. It probably will be cheaper for the crown because it is small. But let's say it comes to $3,000. Let's just say that. For another $2,000, I can have an implant.
And they cover most of that, I think.
No, they won't cover implants. No.
Oh, I thought it was a surgery or something that they say they cover most of that on Medicare.
No, but here's what I found out from my dentist today, because I told her I'd had new dental that I was getting through SAG-AFTRA. And she says, oh, well, that's a very good plan. She says, I know, because I've had some people who come to me who are actors, and they belong to SAG, and they have the SAG dental plan. And that the dental plan that they had usually did not cover veneers. But SAG said, we won't take anybody as our dental plan that won't do veneers because our actors need veneers. So they cover veneers. So
nice.
Yeah, but I mean, I could do all that if I didn't have to blow my whole year's worth of money on just one fucking tooth.
Well,
try putting braces on a 14-year-old. You're screwed.
Oh,
yeah, I've done that twice.
$6,000.
Oh boy.
Jesus,
So I mean, I came home. I didn't want to talk to girlfriend. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was just so put off by the experience.
Did they give you gas?
No. Are you kidding me?
Oh, you got ripped off.
You know what she said? I don't do gas because at your age it ruins brain cells. I said, at my age, I don't give a fucking piece of shit.
Use them.
Give me enough gas so I lose everything and I don't have to put up with any of this shit, especially this appointment with the dentist.
You're right, because I'm exactly the same way, Alex.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, how is Bree doing?
Yeah. Well, listen to Bree. Yes,
Yeah.
Bree. Go ahead, Bree.
Yeah, I'm just saying, we're in the same boat, Alex.
Yeah.
Although you're paying a little bit more than I am.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, I mean, I'm at a point where I don't have that much money. You know, I mean, I don't like to blow a couple of $1,000 on a tooth. You know,
Yeah,
it's just not my idea of a good time. Although, I mean, I have enough money to probably take care of me for the rest of my life, and I probably should think about who I'm going to leave it to if I go after girlfriend. We're
leave me enough for a new tooth.
Oh, okay. I will. Sure. But you know, I mean, I once I start digging into my, you know, 401ks and my what do you call it? What's the company I'm with? One that starts with a V. Vanguard. I've got some money to take care of me.
As long as your rent, as long as your case never goes to court,
yeah.
and the rent is set at zero,
yeah.
You can go a lot further.
Well, you got to remember, we got one other thing going that we don't even think about, and that is her condo, her apartment here in New York, which she owes, I don't know, not a lot on it anymore. Yeah. And when I don't know what she got it for, somewhere around $125,000, $150,000, and now it'll easily fetch $400,000.
Well, it's not just the fetching the $400,000; it's the $3,000 a month rent.
No, she's only charging like $2,000.
Well, it's time to up the rent.
Yeah,
throw those people out of there. Learn from Donald Trump.
If we needed that money would take care of us for the rest of our lives. Yeah. You know, so. But you know, I remember when I first went to my first dentist and got my first fillings and stuff like that. And what did he charge? He charged $5 a surface, I think it was. Do you remember those days, Jeff?
Well, first of all, the first thing is when you went to see the dentist, that's all. There was just the dentist.
The dentist.
There was nobody else.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
There was no assistants and
there wasn't
people. He did everything himself.
The endodontist. You have an endodontist, and you have a what do you call it? Gum person is a
periodontist.
Periodontist, and then you have your regular dentist that you go to. But I mean, the fact was that it was one of those things that didn't cost a lot of money. You know, and
nothing did. You know,
do you know what?
Could buy a car for $4,000. Yeah, nice one.
I know, kids. I'm getting to sound like get off my lawn, but listen to me. Listen to me. When I was a kid, the cheapest thing you could do is if your dog got sick and you had to take him to the vet. And I always thought veterinarians were the most wonderful people in the world because they chose a profession that didn't pay a lot of money, but they did it because they loved animals. I talk to people who have pets, and their pet gets sick, but right, you got insurance, right, Phil?
Yeah, thanks to Rob telling me about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Healthy paws.
Healthy paws.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Healthy paws. That is almost as disgusting as the health plan or the exercise plan for older people called silver sneakers. I hate that. Silver sneakers.
Healthy pause. P-A-U-S-E. P-A-U-S-E.
P-A-U-S-E. Yeah.
Because you pause to think about whether you're going to keep going or not.
Yeah. Did somebody yell something out there?
I said, I'm on that silver sneaker plan. Come on.
Are you really?
Yeah.
What do you boy?
The Humana.
Nike or Adidas?
I used to go to that.
But you know, well, I don't know why I don't like the term silver. I don't mind gray as much as silver.
How about platinum? That's better.
You know, like I was thinking of starting a radical old people's group called the Gray Panthers or something. You know.
It's been started.
Has it been started?
Yeah.
But anyway, so who knows? You know, and I haven't eaten today. Because she said, don't bite down on that side for a couple hours, or don't do hot and cold in your mouth. And for hours. So I'm afraid to eat anything.
But if you do the hot and the cold, you'll find out very quickly whether or not you have pain and you need a root canal.
Well, I so far I'm not. The Novocaine is worn off, and I don't feel anything. But she said it could be 24 to 48 hours. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed, you know. But she didn't say to me, you know, if you have to come back in and get the thing, then I won't charge you for this appointment. You know, that would be the nice thing to do. All right, to say we did this because this is stopgap, but if it doesn't work, there should be some. We should have some kind of warranty on dental work. You know, some kind of.
Well, she was just taking a shot. You know, if it works, it works, and you took the gamble. You could have said, "Hey, just do the root canal and get me out of here."
She had me opened up before she said, "You know, there's a 50-50 chance this will work."
Yeah.
You know, I was. I wasn't going home with the thing she had put in before, which now it's metal. Last time it was like plastic or something like that she put in there.
She probably didn't know how deep she had to go until she got in there.
Yeah, but I mean, once we go in there, you know, if it has to be, if we have to do like a root canal, which is her partner does that, then she should say to me, look, we'll forget about this charge. Or we'll reverse
well, at least you got a metal or a plastic. Bree got some bubble gum stuffed on top of his root canal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Did you get a root canal?
No, I'm not getting a root canal.
No, he's not.
And mine was able to tell me, Alex. She said we're not going to do. She took X-rays and said we're not going to do the root canal. But I was the same way when they took the X-rays. The dental assistant put the thing in my mouth wrong, and the bottom of your mouth is very sensitive.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they do.
They go to school for that, like how to put it in wrong so that you're in great pain. You know, that's the kind of thing. See, this is what I'm saying is you get somebody like, I'm not skitterish about going to the dentist, okay? Just fucking do what you got to do.
I am.
Well, no, it used to be that they gave me gas and I didn't give a shit what you do to me. You could pull every tooth out of my mouth and then I would thank you afterwards. But, I mean, I found that, for me, I'll tell you what I was doing. I was doing the radio show and I was doing a television show special. And between the two, I was maybe working 18 hours a day, okay? And so when I had a dental appointment, I went, thank God, I've got like an hour where they're going to put me out with the gas and I can rest, you know? So I looked forward to dental appointments.
Isn't that what happened with Michael Jackson?
No, that was propofol. This is...
he said he couldn't sleep. That's why they gave him the propofol.
This is nitrous oxide.
But he wanted a break.
Yeah, well, I mean, the propofol was a stupid idea on his part, obviously.
And the doctors.
But he didn't have to
Did you see that movie Neverland? Leaving Neverland or something?
It's just... No, I haven't seen it. And the only people who've seen it were the people at the film festival. You know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But supposedly it makes quite a case for the fact that he was diddling young boys, you know, which we all knew, you know, and we kind of like, that's Michael. Okay.
Michael Jackson moved to Dubai for a few years, didn't he?
He did?
No, I don't. No, it wasn't Dubai.
Yeah, I remember.
No, it wasn't Dubai, Phil. It was what's that place? It's further into Asia. I know he did go there though, but it wasn't Dubai.
Wasn't Dubai?
No.
Maybe Bahrain or Qatar. I don't know.
No, it wasn't.
I thought it was Dubai.
No, it's like an island, I think, an island.
Oh, Bahrain.
Bahrain, I think. You might be right. Yeah.
Not the Maldives. That's natural.
No.
I'll see.
Yeah, he was in Bahrain in 2005.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It was one of the places he went because the guy took care of him because he really didn't have a lot of money. You know, he was kind of out of it. So
running out.
Here, let me put our. There we go, our GabNet logo there, so everybody can. It can be really obnoxious now. But so anyway, I just I was so depressed, and I was so I just went I'd be happy if I died tomorrow, that I don't have to worry about always when you're getting older about worrying about money. And you're worrying about money. I've got enough money. If I go at the rate that I have been going for the last 5 years, over the last 5 years, I maybe spent $30,000 out of my savings. And if that happens, I can probably live another 20 years on what I have left. And yet I'm sitting here worrying about every penny. Because here's the problem. At my age, you don't know how long you're going to live.
It was Bahrain.
Yeah, and if I knew how long I was going to live, then I would spend appropriately, right? But I don't, and so I've got enough to keep me going for the next 20 years. But I'm not going to keep going for the next 20 years. But still, the idea of putting out that kind of money for this kind of stuff, it's I don't know.
Based on my savings, I'm going to have to practice this. Welcome to Walmart.
Well, at least I have some savings, and we also do have the condo and things like that. So quite frankly, if we wanted to, we could continue living okay. And plus, we're going to get some kind of settlement here for this deal. So
I hope so.
So, but I just,
That's why I became a professor.
Yeah.
Because I can pretty much teach, for a long time.
Yeah.
I can, just sit down in the front. I knew that, I don't know, when I was in radio and in music, it just always seemed like the younger you were, the better off you'd be. Because unless you were a really big name, the odds of being able to stick around kind of went down as you got older.
Yeah. Jeff had his hand up. Jeff?
Oh yeah, I was going to say that my attitude is a little different than yours, Alex.
Yeah.
And that is because a lot of my brother-in-laws died very healthy, very younger than expected.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, screw that. I'm not going to wait for going on vacation or do other things.
Yeah. I mean, I've got the money to do it, so I may as well do it. Who knows how? Be hell to lie there on my deathbed and say, "Hey, I managed to keep most of my money." I don't have any reason to keep it. Plus,
Alex, did you get through SAG-AFTRA long-term care insurance?
No, Marjorie. Now that is a rook. That is a real rook. Yeah, Marjorie.
Because I'm thinking about getting that.
Marjorie got long-term. Well, it's going to cost you a lot of money. At your age.
I have a group deal through my group.
Well, here's the long-term thing. She pays, I can't remember how much it is a month or a year or whatever, but she's been paying it for years now. And she thought about it and went, if you suddenly decide you don't want it anymore, it's not like you suddenly get all that money back or some portion of it. It's not like life insurance and you cash it in. No, you goodbye. See you later. If you miss a payment, forget it. And she called my business manager and said, "What do I do about this?" And he said, "Well, I would have told you never to get into it to begin with." I'll tell you a piece of advice he gave me today. I got this. I got this Mac Pro off of eBay. It was still very expensive off of eBay. It was like $3,300. It's about a $7,000 machine. So anyway, they do offer warranty. If you want it, you have to get it within 30 days of buying the item. But don't keep putting up pictures because that's kind of like. Unless it's really important and germane to the conversation, because
he was in a dental chair.
Oh, that's him in a dental chair. Let's see you in a dental chair. Hold on.
That was when I was getting my tooth worked on.
Yeah.
And I had many moments when the dental assistant left the room and she left the room, and I was by myself, so I took.
Oh, okay.
Took the photos.
Yeah.
Here's one where. She lost part of. You can see here that this There's one tool there that doesn't have its ending because it was missing something or it wasn't working. And she tried to borrow it from the other dentist, but it didn't fit hers.
That looks like the same.
That didn't make me feel good.
That looks like the same chair my woman has. My dentist has. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Anyway, that chair, don't they put a sponge on your head and then they put this crown over it and they strap you to the thing before they pull the switch?
Right. Anyway, so anyway, to get back to what I was saying about warranties.
Yeah.
So they you know, I get a 3-year warranty on this thing for $400. All right. So I call my business manager, and here's the problem with it. If it goes bad, it's not like I can take it down to Apple or I can take it to a local fix-it shop to take care of it, to fix it. I have to pack it up and send it to California by FedEx ground, which takes 4 days. And then they work on it, and then they send it back to me FedEx ground 4 days. For that kind of money, for a warranty, I want something just a little bit more expeditious. You know what I'm saying?
Nothing goes wrong with something that's been in use for, you know, over 6 months.
This Mac Pro that's sitting here has been going on and off for the last 8 years.
Yeah.
So am I to think that this new Mac Pro, this trash can, isn't? I've never heard of them going bad. Have you?
Yeah. No, they're such high quality. They don't go bad.
Yeah. And if it does, it does. You know, but so my business manager said, listen, never buy warranties. The only thing that we agreed probably you should buy a warranty on is a laptop. And the reason is because they're moved around a lot. You know, they're moved from place to place. And they're not stable. But if you get a Mac Pro like this one, you know, I mean, I got their Apple Care. I think it was $150 or something. But this thing has just gone forever, you know. And the other one I have in the other room still works. The one that's like, I'd say it's 12 years old.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So so he said, don't get the warranty.
Yeah. Although this is a lot more miniaturized than your older ones. You know, the older ones had a case this big. It had plenty of air flowing through it. And the components were larger. You know, it wasn't as miniaturized.
They were big behemoths, basically. Yeah. You know, they were behemoths. And
you already have a peanut butter bar on your shopping list. Would you still like to add peanut butter bars?
Sorry.
Alexa,
Echo.
Alexa, buy a Rolls Royce.
What's on my shopping list?
She just comes on, you know, sometimes. She laughs by herself sometimes, too.
I finally broke down and bought one.
What?
iPhone?
The 10.
The 10, the X.
Yeah.
Basically, that's all you can buy these days now.
The XS, yeah.
Yeah. Yours is the middle one?
Yeah, the XS.
Because they have the R, and I think they then have the, you know.
The XS and then the X Max or whatever it is. The big one.
I got the first one. The one that,
that's what I've got.
Generation.
That's what I've got.
Yeah, it's the smaller one, but it's the good camera, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you really want to pay extra money to get the Max? I mean, come on.
Yeah, because I had the 6S and it was big, and it was nice. Big. You could see it, but it was hard to handle for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't put it in your pocket. You know, it was too big. You couldn't put it in your cup holder.
I can't reach across it with my thumb and all that.
Gee, every other tooth but that one is bothering me tonight, except the one that's supposed to go bad. So. Who knows?
Did it happen due to the fall?
No. It was a filling that was getting loose, and she even had trouble getting it out. But it was loose. She agreed it was loose. You know,
Bree's got his hand in it.
And it was 7 years
Alex,
old. What?
It's like a domino effect sometimes, or a penguin effect. You know, you get one tooth that goes bad, and then they fix that, and it caused the other one. That's what happened with mine.
Really? I never had that happen.
Oh, it's like one after
another. But I'll tell you why I don't like root canals. I'll tell you what's wrong with root canals. I've had several root canals in my mouth go bad and have to put implants in, have the tooth pulled and put implants in. This loose tooth I've had for a long time here on this side is a root canal, and you know they don't last forever, and fillings are only good for, she said, 7 to 10 years, or the kind of plastic compound that I had.
Sensodyne, yeah, that's a good thing to use.
Yeah. Well, that's just good toothpaste, period. You know. So.
Well, it numbs the areas.
It doesn't really numb it. It just mildly takes care of it. You know.
Coats it somehow with something that keeps it from being as painful.
Now, the latest thing I got was talking to my pharmacy. All your drugs that you have, the prices are going up. This is the time, every year they raise the prices on their drugs. How long does that keep happening? You know?
Forever.
When it comes to medicine, when it comes to dental, when it comes to all of that, we spend a fortune, you know? And they're charging a fortune. And they just should be this should be put to a stop. I mean, I don't, Phil, you would disagree with universal health care, but I got to tell you, these people are asking for it. You know?
They're abusing it.
Wait a minute, well, let Charlie.
Be careful what you wish.
Let Charlie.
Once you get it.
Let Charlie. He was going to saying something there.
No, I just said they're abusing us. They're overcharging us. We pay far more for all those drugs, for health care, for dental care than any other country in the world, practically.
Yeah. Well, witness Bree, who's paying less for dentistry than we are here.
Ocasio-Cortez the other day said that she wanted to eliminate insurance.
Me too.
Well, I agree. I agree with it. Let me say this, Phil, and she has a very good point, and here's why it's a good point. Up until a few years ago, insurance companies were not allowed to be profit-making organizations. They were nonprofits by law, and that's why the prices were low. When they became profit-making, all of a sudden, they opened up the barn door. Okay? So, you know, that's why you're seeing such high insurance costs now.
Did you hear any of the interviews today with Schultz from Starbucks?
I don't like him.
No, I actually thought he made a lot of sense.
I don't like him.
You Republicans will.
Well, you're the same idiot who voted for Perot and thinks Trump's a good idea. You know, you like guys who have money. They seem to
not necessarily.
They seem to get you. They seem to get your mantle of authority. You know.
Well, it isn't the money. You know, the guy wants to be an independent. And
to begin with,
I
listened to him today, and he's terrible. He's just terrible. So? What? Any of you people hear him?
No,
just snippets.
Might have been on CBS. I think he was interviewed by Hoda somebody.
On CBS, he was interviewed on 60 Minutes on Sunday.
Yeah, 60 Minutes.
Oh yeah. Well, they had him on CBS.
And I think he's an asshole because he considers himself a liberal. And so he's going to go and run as an independent and probably take votes away from Democrats, you know, and literally guarantee Trump the White House. And it's not, he really shouldn't do that, you know. Not if you consider yourself a real liberal and you don't like what Trump is doing, you don't become the spoiler. I mean, right? Yeah.
Well, it worked for Anderson.
Huh?
Anderson and was a spoiler.
Perot was a spoiler.
Perot as well for Bush, yeah.
Yeah. You know, so I mean,
unfortunately, the third party has no power yet. Unfortunately.
Well, it probably never will. You know,
and that's unfortunate as well.
It could.
Why does he want to run as an independent?
That I don't know. I mean, what do you think, Josh? You've been quiet tonight. What do you have you seen anything with Howard Schultz and listened to him at all?
You're muted, Josh.
There we go.
No, I really don't know anything about him. I mean, not that much. I don't really want anyone who's been a CEO of anything.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
If anything, I think we've learned that for as much distaste as some people might have for professional politicians, they are professional politicians, and people who are professionals at their job, whether you like them or not, are sometimes good at their job.
Yeah.
For instance, we don't all like the dentist, or we don't all like the lawyer, we don't all like the bank. A professional at what they do. I mean, I think we've seen what happens when someone who was the CEO of something or whatever starts running the show the way they... I mean, it's fucking amateur hours, which is what we have now. I mean, I don't want anyone who was the CEO of anything. Find someone who knows about government, you know?
Yep.
Not about fucking $9 coffee, which, I mean, he's getting a fucking break.
$9 coffee.
If you vote for him, you get a Venti coffee with a double pump of caramel.
Gives a shit.
Latte.
I agree with you. I mean, I think that we should start learning that politicians aren't the worst thing possible. The worst thing possible is somebody who tries to run this country and doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. Jeff.
Yeah, I heard a little bit that he was speaking a couple of days ago, and he says that the reason he wants to become independent is that he can't quite trust the Democrats or the Republicans because they don't really work very hard and they don't communicate very well and they really haven't solved any problems. He felt like independent, he can make the right decisions.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. That's what the guy said.
Well, I mean, I just don't. See, I don't buy into that because I believe that political parties have created a lot of problems, but I believe political parties have solved a lot of problems. Certain political parties solved problems like slavery and civil rights and the greatest economic depression to, ever strike the modern world. I mean, it's not the political party, it's the damn people that you currently have constituting the political parties. I mean, I don't blame the apparatus, I blame the people.
You look at the RNC and the DNC, the fix is always in. They're not fair. Now, I don't like Bernie Sanders. I think he's terrible. But he did get a raw deal from the DNC. They made sure that there was no way he could be the nominee.
So you said
he's independent.
I'm going to go out for just a second. Just keep talking to each other.
Okay. Yeah. He's independent now. But
Tulsi Gabbard.
Didn't they do that stuff with the superdelegates?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did
it. My mother, when she moved to this place in Georgia, she says, "Oh, it's really nice here. They have a super Kmart." I always thought the superdelegates and the super Kmarts had a lot in common. But so, what did you say about Gabbard?
Well, yeah, look, I was just reading a lot about her that she seems to be along the Bernie lines. I went to the Japanese consulate last night for a Japanese New Year celebration, and it was pretty nice. But I don't know, they didn't have as much food as I thought they would have. Like, everybody was pigging out. And I guess I was a little too slow.
Wow.
I didn't get enough to...
They have sushi or...
Yeah, they had sushi, sashimi. They flew in a sushi chef from Japan for like 24 hours just so he could, make the sushi.
Wow.
And I think I have his picture here.
I went out for a second, and when I come back, we're not talking about Howard Schultz anymore. We're talking about sushi.
Bree was at the Japanese
consulate. I went to the consulate last night. I was invited there by the ambassador.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry, I got a poor connection. And it was really nice. I got a whole bag of matcha.
What's matcha?
Oh, it's like matcha is to green tea what like dark chocolate is to regular chocolate. It's just like intense green tea.
Mm-hmm.
And I make matcha lattes, in the afternoon. They're really good. But yeah, I didn't.
They'll have those at Starbucks.
No, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. In Japan, they have it. In Singapore, they have it. Here in Dubai, they don't. But I can go to Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons has wonderful chais, including matcha lattes.
They have a Tim Hortons in Dubai?
Yes,
Wow.
We have every chain and every retail store around the world is in Dubai. So I eat lunch sometimes at New Zealand fast food places, and I'll get a matcha latte from the Canadian Tim Hortons, and then I'll have sushi from a Japanese fast food place. So anything that's been chained or, that has a brand name that exists somewhere, they usually have a Dubai outlet.
Oh.
So you name it, I've seen it, doesn't surprise me.
Wow.
All right. So where were we?
Kangaroo burgers?
Alex, I've told you before, we have Italy. We have Italy here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we have Serendipity, and we have Magnolia Bakery.
I'll be back in a moment.
We'll be in another country.
So, I mean, you name it, we have it. If it's a chain that you know and that you like, and it's somewhat successful, then it's in Dubai.
Bree, your camera is aiming at a picture of a hot woman on a set of shelves. Who is she?
No, I think that is one of the first internet radios that was ever made. It's a Taurian Infusion. And
No. There's a picture of a woman on the
in a bin.
Yeah, next to the plastic bins.
That's it's on the side of a box that holds the world's first portable internet radio. That was back in, I don't know, like 20 years ago.
Excuse me, folks. I'm sorry I took some little time out there, but I had it was feeling like the filling was loose, but it turns out it wasn't. It's just my mouth.
What do you want for $475?
My mouth is now getting sensitive, but the filling is in there firmly, so I wanted to make sure of that. But
yeah, your tongue starts to second guess what your mouth was like.
Yeah.
Before and after dentistry.
Well, I have to go back on Thursday, but I might not. I have to do it on Friday because of how cold it's going to be. But she's got to burnish it down because it's a little rough around the edges and stuff. So, but she couldn't do it today because it would have ruined the filling or something. I don't know. You just don't. I don't understand how they stick a piece of metal in your mouth and it stays there for 20 years. That I don't understand. That one makes no sense to me.
Yeah. Should last longer.
No, I mean, but why? I have fillings in my mouth probably been there for longer than 20 years. But they take a.
Yeah.
She must know what she's doing. They don't fall out, so.
Well, when my crown came out, the gold crown, when they were doing the other one.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, I had that done in 1997. And they both let out a collective gasp. They were like, oh, yeah, that's really old. And it should. I'm like, well, what do you mean? It should last forever, in my opinion. I mean, why does it come out?
That won't pay her boat payment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Like, one dentist, I had a Colombian who was trained in Germany. She did emergency work on the upper one. She said doing an inlay, and she said keep the tooth as long as you can. But then the Indian woman said, no, there's microfractures. It's not going to last. Let's do the crown. And I'm like, a crown is more expensive. So I always second guess, like, is she really saying that because it's really what's best for my tooth or because it costs more? I don't know.
You know what happened once? I think I've never told the story here, but I told it when it happened to me when I was at Sirius. I had this tooth that had been loose, and I called it my loose tooth. It had been getting looser and looser by the year, and they kept saying, "Hey, we should pull that. No, let's keep the tooth. Let's keep it. I kept hanging on to this tooth, and it got looser and looser and looser. All of a sudden, one day, I felt go into my mouth because I feel something is fallen off, and I pull something out, and I go, oh, it's where that loose tooth was. This is the crown. So I went to the dentist the next day, and I said, the crown fell off. I need to have it put back on. And she says, that's not the crown. That's your tooth.
Fell apart?
I said, no. It as they put it, self-extracted.
Yeah.
Wow.
That happened to me once.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have another loose tooth here, and I'm waiting for it to...
If you had a loose tooth all that time, did you have bone damage?
No. Well, if I did, they put a, what do you call it in there, implant, and everything was fine. Yeah, I can't tell my implant teeth from my other teeth. Well, I can. They seem to be a little smaller. Yeah, but and the expensive part about you do an implant, and you've spent $3,500. Okay, good. Now you're through with that. Now, this is the best part about it. They have to put a crown on the implant.
Yep.
That's another $1,900, and it's more expensive.
Oh, that's right. In case they have to go in.
It's more.
It's like a cap on a screwdriver on the screw.
Yeah, but it's more expensive than a normal crown because it's a crown for an implant. And on top of that, when you get your implant, you also have to go get an MRI or CAT scan for your mouth, which they charge you $300 so they can make sure they plant the thing right. Boy, I mean, by the time you're through, I mean, the one thing after another, after another, after another. So somewhere along the line, we got to do something about this.
Universal
What happened to the
dental
day when you
care.
got false teeth and you took them out and you stuck them in a jar? You know?
Yeah, well,
like a bridge.
Well, if this loose tooth falls out, I'm just leaving it out because it's all the way back here. Nobody's going to see it, and I don't want to. I don't want to
affect the one above it.
What do you mean the one above it? It's
or below it?
It's on top. No,
the one below it.
Affect the ones to the side. No.
I don't think I've ever looked at the guard down.
But people, you ever notice people when they lose teeth back here never get them replaced because nobody ever sees them.
7 hours.
My business manager, who's got a decent amount of money, lost that tooth. He said, I didn't even do anything for it. If I did something, what I would do is when I got my implants for the 6 months or so while everything's healing and this and that and the other thing, they gave me another $750, a fake tooth. They just pop in.
A temporary.
It's not a temporary. It's a fake tooth. I'd get one of those instead of a real tooth because I told her, I said, I would have just as much preferred having that in there as the implant because when I'd use it during the day, I didn't stop to think it was there, and it just filled up that little gap in my mouth so I didn't look like I was from the Ozarks. So, well, we spent enough time talking about dentistry. What about Donald Trump today? Well, fuck him. Anyway, let's get on to other stuff.
Actually, I haven't heard much about him at all.
Well, you got Roger Stone pled not guilty.
Give me call me an asshole, but there's something about Roger Stone I actually like.
Yeah, me too. The more I hear him, the more I like him.
No, he's just
a fighter.
He's just such a prick, an unadulterated prick.
They didn't need to go in there with guns blazing. That was ridiculous.
Well, they went in with guns.
Yeah.
They went in with that because they were afraid that if they didn't, he would destroy evidence.
And over the last 2 years, he didn't destroy anything.
Well, all I know is I have a feeling that he's not as guilty as everybody would like to think he is. What he's guilty of is bragging about stuff that he didn't do, which looked like he was doing stuff illegally.
He's guilty of distraction.
Yes.
Now, all of these guys are guilty
Kevin. Wait a minute, very good, Kevin. Did you hear what Kevin said?
Distraction. They're guilty of saying something that gets refuted in some other way, and it's more a technical thing than anything else. Or they say, "Were you here on such and such a date?" And the guy says, "Well, geez, maybe, no, I don't think so." And then they find out he was, and all of a sudden that's lying to Congress, and that's enough to put the guy in jail.
He's done 8 or 9 interviews over the last 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's loving every.
He's all over the place.
Yes,
well, he's got a couple of books for sale.
He's got like 15 costume changes. They're already counting that shit.
Yes, Bree.
Well, to what Phil was saying about the getting people on technicalities, it was. I watched a documentary on the men who invented radio, and one thing that stuck in my mind was Edwin Howard Armstrong, the inventor of FM radio, had a number of court cases against David Zarnoff, who controlled NBC RCA.
Yeah.
And one of the quotes that was attributed to Armstrong was something he said, something to the effect where lawyers substitute reality for words and then argue about the words. Something to that effect. And you're right. They just, at a certain point, they get so far away from reality, then they're just dealing with the technicalities. And, to a large extent, I think that's where we go here. The Trump will give a pardon, or this won't be as big as it's set out to be. It looks like Miller is trying to build a case by, taking out the henchmen. It's hard to imagine who would be larger than Stone, except maybe Manafort or Jr. But I think that, again, all of this plays into Trump's base because they see it as this is what all happens in D.C. You can't get anything done because everybody's always trying to sue everybody and have a special prosecutor. And essentially, they're right. Our system no longer functions. If you can't see that, then I don't know what to tell you, because it's just all big theater and games and crap, and nothing is really helping people. And I don't know how we fix that, but maybe we go back to just the states run everything, but we don't have the leadership in all the states. So what do we do? But
that's what Schultz. That's what Schultz says he wants to fix.
Yeah, but everybody says they want to fix something. Just because they say they want to fix something and they identified a problem, which we've all identified before, doesn't mean he's going to be able to solve it. I'm sick and tired of these people who make statements about what they'll do if they get into office that are all things that we already have parsed and have seen.
And it's more of a clusterfuck now than it was 2.5, 3 years ago.
Yeah. So I mean,
and of course, anybody's going to make it look better now.
To say, we need do something about medical care in this country, blah blah blah. We've been saying that tonight, right? No big deal.
Alex, you think that Kamala Harris is she kind of like a Me Too who didn't say anything with Willie Brown? I'm getting the impression that Willie Brown sort of directed her early career.
Yes, he did. He did.
And so things may have occurred there. I don't know, because some women who would have spurned his advances would now be pointing back at him and saying what a terrible guy he is.
Well,
he was a kingmaker.
Willie Brown begin with, okay, yeah. But the point is that maybe she really liked the guy. What's to say that isn't so? He
was a pretty charming guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean,
she's the Hillary Clinton.
Well, I mean, come on. Years ago, remember when they used to do 60 Minutes? They used to do this point counterpoint, and I'm trying to remember the name of the guy.
What the hell was his name?
But he did my show once, and I had to bleep him actually when he said. I think during a break, he said, "Down in Washington, we have these women who like to do nothing but have relationships with politicians." And he said, we have a name for them. He said, what is it? He said, power fuckers. And
I don't want to say the name of this person that but didn't she say that that's why she liked the guy who was the New York City?
Well, she was Bernard Kerrick's girlfriend.
Right. Yeah, I understand. I didn't want to.
It was Judith Reagan. She's very happy to talk about it.
Really?
And I said, one time we were walking down the street, and I said this, Judith, because I really like Judith. I found her hot, and I found her smart, and I found her just terrific. And yet she's the one who did things like the book for Rush Limbaugh's book. Yeah. Anyway, I said to her, Bernard Kerrick? I said, I just can't imagine somebody as bright as you are even having something to do with him. And she looked at me with this really plaintive look on her face and said, hey, I like power. You know, there's just something about power that is very seductive for me.
And this is something we don't talk about now. I mean, women can be all powerful now because if they want to move ahead and accept the advances, then they get in those positions. But if they don't, they can now they can yell about it and claim, well, the guy did this and that.
Yeah.
How do you win? You know, because it just seems impossible. And how do we know what's going on? That's the other side of it. If you're going to neuter that situation, so to speak, and look at it fairly, you have to agree that it goes both ways.
Yeah.
And shouldn't we get away from that as well? Ideally, if that's the perfect world we're looking towards, rather than revenge against the way things have been, I don't know.
And if Kamala Harris was a power fucker and she learned some lessons, then okay, you know, she's had a schooling a lot of people didn't have privy to. You know,
it's Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama together.
That's who it was, James Kilpatrick. That's right.
James Kilpatrick. No, he did his own commentaries. This was the other guy. He was
the guy that was point counterpoint.
No, point counterpoint was later on, but originally.
You mean the guy that went to start Slate magazine?
No.
Kinsley?
No. I'm trying. Hold on a second. Let me look it up here.
Yeah, that's what I looked up. It
wasn't
conservative columnist.
No,
conservative columnist. James died on Sunday. Was the best known TV for one half of Point Counterpoint
with Shana Alexander.
Shana Alexander.
But before that, there was another guy who did it with her, and they didn't like her.
I remember somebody before that too.
Because he made problems. So you know.
Well, you know that there were women in the music industry as well who will
Jane, you ignorant slut.
Sleep with the band, you know, Sweet Jane.
Shana Alexander and I can't remember the guy's name now. I think he's dead. He was a writer, and
Kilpatrick's dead. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Kilpatrick is long dead, and I think she's dead too, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yes, kids, once again, we're throwing out some names here you never heard in your life.
There are no kids.
No kids listening to this. You know.
It wasn't William F. Buckley.
No. Oh, God. What was his name?
That's driving me nuts, because I thought there was another one, but that might be the only one.
No. Oops. Counter. Okay, point counterpoint.
Originally published in.
Let's see, point counterpoint. Wikipedia.
You're not thinking of that show where the guy at the end would go bye bye.
No, it's not. Point counterpoint. Wait a minute. Point counterpoint. 60 minutes.
All right, Alex, I got to bug out because I got to run over to the office. I'm running a little late.
Okay, well then you're never going to
find out what this is.
Take care.
Yeah, I start a new job tomorrow morning, so I won't be able to participate in Jack's program.
Yeah. By the way, where's Patrick been? He hasn't been.
He's been active on Facebook, but he hasn't been.
It's so cold in Wisconsin. He can't move to get to the computer. The wheels on his wheelchair have frozen in place.
Oh, yeah.
Has he been on the last few days?
No.
I just sent him a message a little bit ago, but he hadn't sent me anything back yet, so I thought maybe he was...
Did you hear about that woman in Wisconsin that they found dead under her car? She had frozen to death. I guess somebody had attacked her, and she ended up under her car, and she was stuck to the pavement. It was so cold, frozen to death.
Yeah, it's like that here. It's like the temperature outside here where I live is like 5 or 6 below right now. It's supposed to be even colder than that tomorrow. And
what about Chicago?
The wind is like
the
30
high
miles
tomorrow in Chicago is supposed to be negative 13.
Well, yeah, and I think the wind chill is negative 60.
Right. I mean, it's terrible.
Negative 40, yeah.
It's terrible.
There's supposed to be like an 89 differential between now and Friday when it warms up.
And it's going to rain Sunday, so I don't know what that's going to do. Well, they're playing in Atlanta. Atlanta is not that cold.
Well, it's in a dome.
Nick, okay, I just found it. Found it. Nicholas von Hoffman. He did it from 1971 to 1974.
Didn't he invent the V2 rocket?
No. Nick von Hoffman did point counterpoint before James Kilpatrick.
Oh, okay.
And Shane Alexander died in 2005. What?
When Bree said that this guy Anderson invented FM radio, I knew he was wrong.
No,
you
Armstrong.
invented FM radio.
No, it was a guy by the name of Howard Armstrong, was it? And he not only invented FM, but he also
and the podcast.
He also came up with a much better version of the vacuum tube, and it gave DeForest Kelley. Was it DeForest Kelley?
DeForest Kelley was on
Lee DeForest a run
TV
for his
show.
money. Lee DeForest invented the vacuum tube, which made amplification. But Armstrong came out with a much better tube, and actually came up with the best audio system for movies. So you know. But anyway.
Did he commit suicide? Is he the one that committed suicide because he didn't get credit for the invention of the FM radio at the time, or am I thinking of somebody else?
Well, what is it? Was we say the name was Howard Armstrong? Was it?
I think
so. I can't remember. I thought the person that invented FM radio got ripped off by RCA and didn't get credit, but I mean, I don't know. It could be. Maybe I just don't remember.
RCA was the TV, right?
Yeah.
That was
in your oh no, that's Howard Armstrong, the musician. We don't want that. Edwin Howard Armstrong.
I just thought they basically like stole his technology after he tried to sell it to him or something like that. I just couldn't remember right. Maybe
it was one thing where it was like a drum and
bitter and overtaxed by years of litigation and mounting financial problems. Armstrong lashed out at his wife one day with a fireplace poker, striking her in the arm. She left the apartment to stay with her sister. Sometime during the night of January 31st to February 1st, with his wife in Connecticut and 3 servants having left for the day, Armstrong removed the air conditioner from the window of his 12-room apartment, jumped out of the apartment.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, we're coming up on the anniversary there.
Wow.
On to 13th Avenue, did he say?
Yeah, because I thought
13th floor of River House in Manhattan.
116th.
No,
he had tried to sell them the technology or whatever, and they were interested, and then the next thing you know, they like just made it without his permission.
Yeah, his suits went on for years.
Right.
Yeah.
There were other things like that. The guy who invented the intermittent windshield wiper.
Right. Yeah. They made a movie about that
too. Pardon me.
Oh. Yeah, they made a movie about that one, right?
Yeah,
he tried
to commit suicide, but unfortunately, every time he tried, he started, he stopped, he started, he stopped.
Right.
Waited 5 seconds, started again.
And then he got a squirt of water.
But I'm glad somebody brought up Armstrong because he's one of the greats in electrical engineering. And then you had, what's his name, the guy who invented television. Took him forever to get people to admit that he actually invented television.
Were there 2 kinds of television?
Two kinds of color TV.
Color TV, okay.
Yeah, there was the CBS version and there was the Sarnoff version. The CBS one got approved, but then 2 years later, the FCC pulled their approval and gave it to RCA. Because RCA started spreading rumors that because there was a wheel involved in the color television set with CBS, that the wheels had come loose in some situations and decapitated people. It wasn't true, but Sarnoff's...
There was hamsters that came with each wheel.
Yeah. It was not a great idea, but supposedly the color was phenomenal. It was just phenomenal.
Really?
Yeah.
A lot of reds.
No, a lot of reds, right?
Yeah, I'm just curious about something since you only had a couple minutes left, but you made a joke earlier about your teeth and looking like you were from the Ozarks. So I just wanted to know, because I'm sure you probably do. Do you watch that show on Netflix, the Ozarks, with
I watched the first season. I didn't
Jason
watch
Bateman or whatever?
Didn't watch the second season.
It didn't keep me interested.
Really? I thought it was pretty good. I was just curious, but because he normally just does like comedy or whatever, typically, and then he did like a serious role. I actually thought
he won the SAG award,
right?
For Best Actor in a drama series. The awards were this weekend. I didn't even mention them because I was so disappointed in the way my people voted. I mean, giving that guy Rami Malek an award for that picture, Bohemian Rhapsody, it's terrible.
Maisel got
it won everything. It won everything for television.
Yeah, and I saw what's his name, the comedian.
Kevin Pollak.
Who?
Kevin Pollak.
Yeah, Kevin Pollak. Yeah, he was up there. I'm very happy for him.
But he won as part of the cast. He didn't win an individual award.
No, I understand, but that's okay.
But, well, it's not okay. Because I won. I have two Emmys, and one of them is for performance by a person on a show, and that one I like. The other one is a cumulative award for best show or something like that. So I didn't feel that I truly got. That was my sports one, by the way.
So you're not a team player.
That was my sports Emmy. Was a cumulative Emmy. There were a bunch of us that were put in for the Emmy for that show, and that show won, so I got an Emmy.
Well, it just means you play well with others. In kindergarten, that would have been a real plus.
It simply meant that I was in the right place at the right time.
Yes.
But it's somewhat interesting, I guess. So anyway, what?
Patrick said he should probably be on tomorrow.
Oh, okay. I just wanted.
He has another dead body to stuff under a car, but it's
And that's hard to do with a wheelchair.
Oh, yeah, I was going to tell everybody.
What?
I used to live in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
When it got to be so cold. And on Friday nights, we would play cards at somebody's house. And it was so cold, the cars wouldn't start. So what we would do, take the batteries and bring them in the house. Keep them warm.
I lived in Minneapolis. I lived in Minneapolis, and I used to go out during a commercial break 30 minutes before I had to leave to start the car. So when I got into it, the car was warm. The winters in that part of the country. I don't know why anybody lives up there, but they must be for the hunting. Anyway, thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Charlie. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Brian. And, of course, always a big thank you to our member of the Supreme Court eventually, Josh Wheeler. And also thank you to Bree for calling as well. That's it for tonight. I think it might be a nice thing if you would all wave goodbye to the people out there, okay? And I'll wave goodbye to them myself. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. Let me get rid of them. Let me unceremoniously drop them. Take myself offline, okay, and then disconnect all the calls. There we go. That means that the next show with Jack Bishop, The Intersection, we'll have a bunch of clear lines. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. So let me just close that whole thing off by saying we'll be back again tomorrow night. There's the franchise MC with the arena at 8:30 Eastern Time. Then at 9:30, it's Damian Chaplin and the exchange. And then tomorrow night at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, same station in life, I'll be back here. And in the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody.